What up, guys? Welcome to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I am your host, Brother Minister Mongoose, and where this ministry is living and promoting a holistic mind, body, and spirit path to health and wellness and to life overall, and where this ministry puts a premium emphasis on this group of people that the Bible refers to as the have-nots. If you're new to the channel, guys, this ministry, through prayer, meditation, research, study, good old-fashioned observation, implementation, this ministry has been led to conclude that when a human being properly merges, balances, and synthesizes their mental, physical, and spiritual health and wellness, not only do one benefit in all of those different aspects of self, but one also benefits when it comes to becoming more sturdy, more resilient, more optimistic, more confident, more clear when it comes to dealing with, the challenges, the obstacles, and all the things that one must come across during this phase of what we call human existence. One is empowered. One is liberated from a lot of things that when one was operating outside of proper balance of mind, body, and spirit, one was having to deal with those things. But those things begin to fade away, and the things that are there for us to deal with and learn and grow from, we become more able and more empowered, more capable of, of dealing with those things appropriately and managing those things. We're not bent out of shape as perhaps we once were. So that's what this ministry is all about. Now, when walking this path, there's all kinds of life experiences. There's all kinds of eye-opening revelations about oneself, the world we live in, government, religion, friends, family, etc., etc. And one of those eye-opening experiences is the fact that there is a separation that is, dare I say, has taken place on this planet. And it's just being played out, but the separation has actually taken place. It's just been more and more revealed and more made more and more, the divide is being made more and more more drastic. It's being more and more increased, if you will. Now, I do have a puppy. If you see me guys looking over there, need to make sure that the pup's doing the right thing. And God willing, I can finish this message without having to get up and make some corrections with her. But there is a separation. Getting back to the message, there is a separation that's taking place. And again, that's already taken place. It's just more and more people becoming aware of it, and the separation is becoming more and more wide. And it's not between, if you will, we use this term loosely, it's not necessarily between the haves and the have-nots, although we see more and more that ultimately it's taking place in that area as well, because there's pretty much now just the so-called upper echelon, the super rich people, and then there's everybody else. You know, there was a middle class and a lower class, but we know the middle class has been wiped out, and pretty much everybody in the so-called middle class is just one check, or maybe 2, 3 at the most checks away from being in what we once referred to, or that we referred to as the lower class. So, but not is it only taking place in that area, and that's not necessarily the area that I'm talking about for the sake of this message. But the separation, it's also not taking place in what we call race or the different races, although it's obviously taking place there. We see race tensions on the rise. It's not taking place And I'm not referring to, again, it's taking place in all of these areas, but I'm going to get to where I'm going here in a minute, bear with me. But it's not the religious area and the divide between the religions, although we see that widening and becoming more and more undeniable. It's not between the politics, as we see that widening and that separation continuing to grow and become that much more obvious and that much more widening and non-negotiable. So it's not the education, it used to be these smart people here, and it's still that to a certain extent, these so-called smart and educated people here, and then those, without education there, and the Republicans here, the Democrats there, and the Muslims here, the Christians there, and the well-to-do, the financially successful, and the have-nots there. Those things are still taking place, and that divide is continuing to be brought front and center and even more widened. But the ultimate separation that's taking place on this planet is the separation between what we would simply call good and evil, the separation between light and darkness, the separation between those who are committed to being at their best and those who are just committed to feeding off of those who aren't at their best, or feeding off those who are committed to being their best. In other words, they got these that are committed to being, those of us who are committed to being our best, and those of us who are just simply committed to feeding off of those who are committed to be their best. So the separation is between good and evil. It's between light and darkness. It's between people who have what I refer to as a clean heart and those who have what's most commonly referred to as a dark heart. This is where the greatest separation is taking place. And as you continue to commit to being at your best in a very balanced, in a very synthesized way, in your physical, your mental, and your spiritual health and wellness, the more and more you're able to see these things, the fact that the separation it's already taken place. There's either good people, what we call good people, whatever that means, not perfect people, not holier than thou, not being judgmental, but just people who are committed to being a good old-fashioned, decent human being. Not just in their inner circle, not just in their race, not just in their family, but truly a good old-fashioned human being. Not a good old-fashioned white man or black man. Not a good old-fashioned, family member. A good old-fashioned, decent human being. It's those people, and then there's those people that don't want to put in the hard work, because if we're hand-on-heart honest, we also know it's hard work. I mean, it's hard enough just being alive on this planet, let alone being alive on this planet, dealing with the bills, the economic explosion in terms of gas and food prices, the race tensions, the so-called epidemics, political upheavals. It's challenging enough to have to deal with that, let alone have to deal with that and continue to be a good person, morally, integrably, socially, and in every sense of just being a good old-fashioned human being. That's enormously difficult, and most people aren't going to put in that work. And most people, for whatever reason, they don't want to put in that work. They don't want to be a part of the good team. They look at people like you and I, who are just committed to being our best, whether we got millions of dollars or 2 pennies, whether we're in great physical shape, 500 pounds overweight, got a medical diagnosis that was unfavorable, whether we got education or not, whether we're black or white or whatever, just trying to be good people. So this is what one's eyes ultimately, and not necessarily ultimately, but just somewhere along the journey, one begins to awaken the fact that there is this separation that has taken place that pits what we call good people, or that separates what we call good people and what we call bad people. And in this separation, it doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter that that's a family member. It doesn't matter that that's a longtime friend. It doesn't matter that you guys go to church or to the mosque, the same church and mosque every day or whatever. All that matters is that energy that you carry, and you're either on this side or that side. A lot of you guys out there have already awakened to this truth, and some of you guys are just now figuring it out, and maybe dealing with the challenges of it. Because again, once you commit wholeheartedly to being a good person, and in my experience, that good person, and I'm using that word, like I said, not holier than thou or judgmental, but that good person is committed to their mental, physical, and spiritual health in a balanced way, not spending 5 hours in the gym and 20 minutes, praying, not spending 5 hours working on their mental faculties, mental clarity, and mental creative faculties and all that, and then spending 2 minutes at the gym and 2 minutes at church. But that balanced approach, this is what leads. This is not saying it's the only approach, obviously, but I do know that when one uses all that this thing that we call God has given us, which is a mind, a body, and spirit, then one is ushered along this path of being just a good human being. It extends beyond me, just myself. It starts there with me being at my best, but me being at my best means being the best human being. Loving, caring, considerate, compassionate, strong, confident, wise, all of these different things. Being charitable, putting these things out there, living the goodness, living the my best in a way that's expressible, that's deported in my actions, my thoughts, my mannerisms, the way I treat people. So being this good person, it starts with one being at their own individual best, but that inevitably extends out to, again, how could it not, to one's conduct, one's sincerity with others, etc., etc. And the more and more you walk that path, being at your best, the more and more you're able to see, okay, everybody else, not everybody else literally, but most other people are just on folly. They're just on foolery. They're just on fakery. And you see that this separation exists. You begin to notice this odd energy that's off in all the people who are not committed to being their best. And again, you're not walking around comparing yourself or judging people. It's just something that it's a psychic, a emotional, a physical phenomena that takes place where you can just look at someone and sense, and see their hatred, the hatred in their eyes that they have for you, that they have for others, that they have for life, that they have for themselves. They're just mad, bitter, disgruntled people. And you see that energy doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if it's your friend, your spouse, your parent, your child, your pastor, your imam. That energy is just there. And so the more and more you work and develop yourself, the more and more you're able to see, wow, there's a separation that is taking place on this planet. And you just become okay with it. You just become okay with it. You don't fake to fit in. You know, you don't judge anybody. You don't look down your nose at anybody. You know, it's like, it's just, hey, everybody has a right to live their life the way they choose to. But you just simply say, well, most people are just trouble starters, disingenuous, passive aggressive, narcissistic, all these different things, and that's not what you're about. And the fact that you're not about it, you end up becoming more and more aware of the fact that most people are about those low energy vibrations. No. And so this is where we are, guys. So if you have experienced this already, this awareness of the fact that this great separation has taken place, leave me a comment. If you haven't experienced it just yet, and because you're just now, you're on a certain level of your journey according to His divine timing, let this be a heads up notice to you that is something that you will experience. And some of you guys may be, just kind of right in the throes of it, to where, wow, that's been your long-term friend, a long-time friend. That's your parent, your child, the guy in the neighborhood, the girl, in the workplace, whatever. You begin to notice that energy is off. And the more and more you commit to yourself, the more and more that energy that's off, one would seek to project that onto you. So to be alive is to be aware. The person that's most likely to survive is the person that's most aware that these battles, these challenges were going to take place. You don't want to be blindsided by these type of challenges. Obviously, no one wants to be blindsided by anything, but we know the consequences of one being blindsided, whether it's in their finances, whether it's in their health, their relationship, careers. We don't want to be blindsided, and you certainly don't want to be blindsided when it comes to you being committed to being at your best, and then being blindsided by the fact that, hey man, most people are just they're not about love and growth and evolution and fairness and compassion and camaraderie. Most people, they're not about those things. They just consume those things and move on. And so don't be blindsided by that, guys. Reach out if this ministry can be of service to you. If it comes to dealing with that, maybe some more heads up, because you're just now beginning your path to your own individual awakening. Or maybe again you're in the throes of it, and you never thought it would come that way, because all you're doing is trying to be at your best. And not only are your eyes awakened to the fact that there's been this separation, your eyes are awakened to the fact that those who have chosen a different path, this path that I'm referring to as a negative or bad path, not only do you become aware of that, but you also become aware of the fact that they hate you and seek to attack, to demean, to destroy, to discourage you on your journey. So that they all, not only have they taken a different path, but they project the negativity of that path onto you. This is what they seek to do. So either way, if you'd like some prayer, words of encouragement, some advice, some study material, some practices for your mental, your physical, and your spiritual health and wellness, a personalized protocol in one or all of those individual areas, whatever the case may be, reach out to this ministry. I'm here to assist you And I don't have all the answers, but if I don't have the answer, I'll be honest. I'll go in search of the answer, and we can come up with the answer together. But this is what I got for you guys. The services that are provided by this ministry consist of philosophical counseling, youth and young adult mentoring and counseling, clean-hearted spiritual teachings and practices, and of course, the certified fitness training. Go to the website at mountfitnessmbs.com, and if you're interested in either of the services, or perhaps even all of them, be sure to hit me up on the email link, and let's get you scheduled for your initial consultation and evaluation. If you got value out of this message, please consider becoming a supporter of this ministry. You can do so by doing one or more of the following things. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the bell icon for notifications. Leave a comment. Spread the word about the ministry by word of mouth. And you can also make a financial donation. There's a Cash App link down in the description box. But whatever good seed that you plant into this ministry, you will receive the abundant harvest, shaken down, pressed together, and running over. Because this is what the universe has promised us whenever we plant good seed in good ground. So plant those good seeds, this ground, other grounds, the grounds of the soil of yourself. Plant those good seeds and receive the harvest that's inevitably yours, that's undeniably yours, just for planting those good seeds. Receive your harvest by faith, guys. Listen, I love you all. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and go out there and realize that, yes, it's not you. There has been a separation, and if we look through this through the lens of what we call, what is most referred to as Bible prophecy, we know that these things have been prophesied for thousands of years, that there would come a day, a time, and an age where there would be this separation between the wheats and the tares. There would be this separation between light and darkness. The good book says, be ye not unevenly yoked. The good book says, what association does light have with darkness? That's to say there is a separation, and we're living in those days and times. And the more and more you commit to your holistic fitness and health, the more and more that separation becomes apparent and obvious to you. And you just have to learn to accept the truth about it all and keep moving forward. Thank you again. Reach out if I could be of assistance to you. This is what I got for you guys. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Yes, I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and yes, I will holler back. Peace.